Game week 8 is over and it's been another roller coaster week. Whether you're on Wildcard like me, maybe you captain Son, maybe you captain Salah, maybe you stuck with Erling Haaland, or maybe you went completely different as well. So today we're going to have a look at my Game week 9 lineup, how it is set up so far, potential transfers and captaincy as well. What is up everyone, welcome back to another video. FPL Harry here, and today it is my Game week 9 first team selection, my transfer plans going into the week. Of course, it is international break, so there won't be many uploads from me this week before we potentially review my team going into the Game week 9 deadline. But a first thought of how I think I'm going to do going into this weekend. Before we go any further, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe if you are new around here as well. But on screen is how my team is currently lining up for Game week 9. 3-5-2, it is where I went on my wild card. I did go with Diaby, a bit disappointing with his blank. Jared Bowen as well, disappointed with his blank, but of course it was captain Mo Salah for me, so pretty happy that he got his 2 goals in that fixture against Brighton. They were both at half time. I was hoping maybe he could get his hat-trick in the second half, but it didn't happen with that game finishing 2-2. The triple Spurs was a little bit of a disappointment. Udogie did get his clean sheet, Maddison did pick up an assist, but Son did blank, so if you did captain him, unlucky to you this week. Up front, we have Erling Haaland and we have Ollie Watkins as well. There are a couple of players in here that I know that I am missing, so Kieran Trippier being the big one, and then the Arsenal midfield is of course where my transfer plans are going to be over the next couple of weeks. Kieran Trippier didn't make it in, but Bukayo Saka not in the Arsenal squad today. It might be Martin Odegaard. Just as a bit of a disclaimer, I'm recording just as that Manchester City Arsenal game is about to kick off. None of them impact my potential transfer plans going into Game week 9. That doesn't impact them, which is why I'm happy to record before that match takes place. But we're going to have a look at how my potential transfer plans are going to look over the next few weeks. Just before we do that, this video is very kindly being sponsored by HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a food kit delivery service that delivers meals ready for you to prepare straight to your door. Whether you like family favorites, whether you want meals that are low in calories, rapid meals, veggie, you can filter to all of that. They have over 40 different recipes to choose from. If you use code 60FPL at checkout, you will get 60% off your first box and 25% off your next 8 boxes as well if you do use the code 60FPL. I do use it. I love it, especially with a full-time job and trying to navigate FPL and videos as well. It is nice to have something in the fridge I know I can quickly make, and for someone who maybe can't cook that well like me, it is very easy with a nice step-by-step guide. So if this is at all interesting, check the link in the description, use code 60FPL, but let's look at those transfers. So one of the players that I brought in on my wildcard that I was pretty 50-50 on, if you saw my deadline stream, was Diaby. Partly because he was flagged, but partly because I did think he was the weakest Aston Villa option. Now, he did come off early in the game against Wolves, which is a little bit concerning with the amount of players they do have. I did expect him to start. I did expect that to happen, and I do expect him to start going forward. But he is a player that I might potentially take out in a couple of weeks. Now, the only real option I could take out this week is by Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto has Bournemouth this week going into Game week 9 after the international break, which could be a very nice fixture, whereas Diaby does have West Ham at home. However, in Game week 10, Diaby does have Luton at home, and there are some nice fixtures for him after that, but it would free up a little bit of money if we're talking potentially about trying to buy Kieran Trippier in. Then that could be a potential move to free up a little bit of money. The other potential place that we could go is Brighton. Now, Brighton do have a difficult fixture in Game week 9 against Manchester City, so I wouldn't be wanting to sell Diaby against West Ham at home for March or Matoma going into that. However, it is definitely a transfer that I could look at going into Game week 10, with that as being when the Brighton fixtures do start to look really nice. Matoma looked great in the fixture against Liverpool today, but he also didn't get a return, whereas Solly March on a lot of set pieces picked up an assist and has actually dropped to 6.4. Come the Game week 9 deadline, I expect both of these actually to have dropped in price again. March down to 6.3 and Matoma down to 6.5 as well, which would allow me to free up a little bit of money, but I think they'll be both great options in and around that price. So I do have the option, if I already have decided that I think Diaby is a mistake, to go from Diaby to Neto this week, or I could wait a week and then go Diaby down to Matoma or Solly March. Now, the other transfers I have revolve around Kieran Trippier. And as an FPL manager, it completely is understandable to admit when you made a mistake. I knew Kieran Trippier was a great option. I knew I wanted him in my wildcard, but I couldn't find space for him. However, there is part of me that thinks I do already consider him a mistake on my wildcard, and I need to potentially consider some routes that I could go and buy him in. There are a few potential transfers. Now, I don't necessarily think this is going to be something I want to do this week with a few transfers that I have to make in here. However, he is one that I do definitely want in. We saw in game week 8 again, he picked up an assist, and in a 2-2 draw as a defender, only getting assist, he still managed to pick up 2 bonus points as well. So a 7-pointer just off an assist, and that is his 5th assist so far this season as well. So looking at some of the ways that I potentially should free up some of that money. The first one is downgrading Son. Son's look great, but it is a way that I could free up a little bit of money. Now, I wouldn't really want to do this going into game week 9. At the moment, I've got Odegaard here, but if Bukayo Saka's back, he's also likely to drop in price between now and game week 9 as well. I would probably prefer Saka over Odegaard, but of course, Saka's not in the squad today, so I had to put Odegaard in here. That would free up a little bit of money. I wouldn't want to do it going into game week 9 because Son has Fulham, whereas Odegaard does go away to Chelsea, who look a little bit better recently. As a Chelsea fan, fingers crossed that some of that form does stay. That, of course, wouldn't free me up enough money quite. I would have to do another transfer, which is probably Jarrod Bowen down to Neto. Now, this is not the best because I am selling Jarrod Bowen before the nice fixtures for West Ham do start in game week 9. But if I really want Kieran Trippier in, I'm going to have to make sacrifices, and Bowen down to Neto, Son down to Odegaard, and Burn up to Trippier are 3 moves that I can make. It leaves me with just 0.1 million spare, and we do expect Trippier to rise in price at least once over the international break. Probably once, but it could be twice come the game week 9 deadline, which is a little bit of a concern, with Neto potentially going up in price as well. I could hope that some of the Arsenal players might drop in price. This would probably not happen for game week 9 because of the fixtures, but game week 10, it could potentially happen as part of a -4. So, my lineup for game week 9. After you play your wildcard, you always want to be rolling a transfer, and that is currently the plan for me. However, it doesn't mean that I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks doing nothing with my team. I will be future planning. I will be thinking about my team and how I can potentially get to some of the players that I don't have in here, particularly Kieran Trippier, and the other one being Saka as well. Originally, when I wildcarded, Maddison up to Saka was the plan. However, if I do think that I'm going to need to go and get Kieran Trippier in my team instead of Dan Burn, then Son down to Bukayo Saka is likely the move. That'll free up some money, and I'll probably have to part ways with either Jarrod Bowen or Diaby to downgrade to free up the rest of the money that I need to go and buy Kieran Trippier. Pretty happy with how the wildcard has gone so far after 1 week. Again, a few of those picks were for future weeks. A few of the players I didn't go with, of course, like Kieran Trippier, did punish me a little bit, but you can't have them all, and I'm still pretty happy with how things went. Erling Haaland currently with the captaincy armband. Son with the vice-captain. Of course, don't back the early kickoff. It happened again in game week 8, so that is why Mo Salah doesn't have it. Haaland going up against Brighton, who did leak goals in game week 8 against Liverpool. Son with the Monday night fixture, which is always so tempting with him. No real benching headaches for me in this team, with Archer, Gabriel and Taylor all with difficult fixtures sitting on my bench this week. So that is my first transfer plans. We'll probably take a week off from videos now, so smash that like button. 1,000 likes on the video is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. Enjoy the international break. Hopefully you have some nice time off with a week without football, but I'm sure we'll all be ready for it to come back when game week 9 does return in 2 weeks. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back again very soon.